Yo, what's up everybody, it's Fright Delight, and let's talk about Halloween 2, made in 1981. This is when movies like American Werewolf in London, The Howling, and My Bloody Valentine were made. Now, I want to see who's been paying attention to my content. In my Scooby-Doo Witches Ghost review or recap, I put Chucky somewhere in the video when it came out. The first person to comment at the time on either video, this one or that one, gets a shout out on my next review cap. What you can call it. It might not be much, but shit, I'm not Mr. Beast, I'm Mr. Broke right now. Halloween 2 is about Laurie Strode attempting to survive Michael's pursuit while trying to recover at the hospital after the events of the first film. From what I can understand, the general reception of the movie is that while not being better than the original, the sequel provides more blood, kills, and camp than the last movie that people really enjoy. Also, they like the continuation of the story that makes Laurie and Michael's arc feel complete. Some of the negatives I've seen about the film is that the lack of creativity in the kills makes the movie seem formulaic. The mask was mediocre at best, and the characters aside from Laurie and Loomis are hella boring. Which I'll argue the characters in the original aside from those two weren't in the least bit entertaining. Anyways, if you haven't been here before, I'm gonna recap the movie, give my thoughts and opinions in between, and then end it off with a tier list. Now let's stop playing and go back to Haddonfield. The movie starts off with a recap of the last film that smoothly transitions into what happened right after Loomis shot Michael off the balcony. As he rushes to find the shape, we cut to an intro that would have been better than the original if it wasn't for that updated theme song. The skull behind the splitting pumpkin was a nice touch, but the music kind of threw it off for me. After we move on and catch up with Michael, we see a POV shot of him finding a new weapon and slide into another crib to test it out. It might be one of the worst kills of the movie. We're not supposed to see Michael's eyes. I don't want to see any emotion from this man. Anyways, as that's going on, Laurie is put onto a stretcher and then taken to the hospital to recover. She gets sedated and put to the side for a bit while Loomis goes out with Officer Lee, loading his tool looking for blood. He starts acting like one of those people that gets a gun for the first time and can't stop taking it out and showing people. Even Officer Lee gets tired of that shit.
Will you put that thing away?
Loomis has no time to put the tool away as he spots a person that looks eerily similar to Michael Myers. Just as he's getting ready to shoot, this police car comes out of nowhere and obliterates the dude. And crazy thing is, the cops dip to the next location without a second thought. Turns out the spot that they went to was Officer Lee's house, and unfortunately, he alongside Loomis find the aftermath of Michael's rampage. As he mourns, we catch up with Laurie in the hospital recovering. We also meet this dude, Jimmy. He starts touching Laurie all molesty. Oh, never mind, she's smiling. They must know each other beyond her going to school with his brother. Jimmy offers her a coke before getting pulled to another call. It's not long before he comes back later that night without the coke, by the way, and tells Laurie that Michael Myers was the one after her and that he escaped. Right before they're about to talk some more, the nurse comes in and kicks Jimmy out so he can let her rest. At the same time, right downstairs, the security guard Bernard, hey, that has a ring to it. Security guard Bernard is checking out the back of the hospital and then gets spooked by this evil ass cat. He gets back up and gathers himself before finding that the storage was broken into. He walks through these dark, decrepit-ass hallways like he doesn't know what happened to the last security guard.
Y'all must ain't heard what happened to the last security guards they had around here.
What happened?
Damn, security guard Bernard fucked around and found out. Later, we seen the outrage the town has towards Michael Myers. And that kind of reminds me of Halloween Kills in a way, without that evil dies tonight BS. This is when Loomis pulls up with Officer Hunt flexing his strap like Hunt doesn't have a boomstick of his own. Loomis starts to tell a story about the past of the house, but Officer Hunt looks more interested in getting that fixed. He's like, Dr. Loomis, I know you don't smoke weed. I know this, but I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, and besides looking for Michael Myers, you ain't got shit to do. Well, Loomis does have something to do when it's confirmed to him that the Michael Myers lookalike was actually a 17-year-old kid, and that there's a lead on Michael Myers at a school nearby, which couldn't be farther from where he is now. While Loomis is on another wild goose chase, we transition into a couple of horny nurses. This is starting to blend together with a Friday the 13th plot. Their names are Bud and Karen. As they continue the freakiness under the water, Karen mentions how hot the water's getting. Bud is like, that's me making the water like that, baby. Not knowing that Michael's in the back making stew out their ass. Karen starts to get really concerned with how hot the water's getting, causing Bud to get out and check the temperature. It doesn't take long for Michael to pop up behind him and strangle dude in that signature Michael Myers single take. He isn't done yet as he disrespects Bud by getting Karen to suck on his dirty ass fingers before drowning her in boiling water. While all this is going down, Laurie's having a dream about her childhood until she's woken up by Jimmy telling her how he won't let anything happen to her, which is just something you should never say in a horror movie. It's just like saying, I'll be right back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
One person that won't be back though is the nurse when she checks on the doctor. She suffers the same fate as him moments later, and right after that, Michael gives his signature head tilt. but I don't know about this one. It looks kinda off to me. Anyways, Michael wanders the halls right as Jimmy is looking for help for Lori. Michael patiently waits until the coast is clear to sneak into Lori's room with the scalpel and stab her, but Lori is a few steps ahead and limps away. He slowly follows her while she gets to another room and finds a phone, but can't do anything because of the line being cut. While Michael and Lori are playing extreme hide and seek, we catch up with Loomis finding the clues to Michael's whereabouts. There is a small plot where Marion, the messenger, tells him that he's ordered by the governor to stop the pursuit, but do you think Loomis really gives a damn? I didn't think so. As he's being taken back to Smith Grove, he talks to Marion about Michael's intentions, and that's when it's revealed to him that Laurie Strode is actually Michael's little sister. And when she was adopted by the family, all the info about where she came from had got sealed away. He quickly comes to the conclusion that Michael is either going to the hospital or he's already there. Loomis tells the officer to turn around, but he's not budging. Loomis shoots his gun and says, "You think I'm fucking playing?" That changed the officer's mind real quick. Similar to the last movie, while they're on the way, Laura is fighting for her life trying to get away from Michael Myers. She has a couple of close calls before making her way to the parking lot to hide in an unlocked car. She hides for a while before this goofball Jimmy gets into the car too, and then passes out at the wheel. The man got knocked out by slipping on some blood earlier. Negative aura. Lori tries to start the car, but that bit missed the oil change so it won't run. She ended up dipping out of the car, but she doesn't have any energy to call for help as Loomis and the rest go into the hospital. Well, she does get the strength when Michael is right on her tail. She follows the group, but the door is locked. As Lori bangs on the door, begging to be let in, Loomis rushes to get help, running just as fast as Michael walks. Loomis gets to her just in time, but a locked door is nothing to Michael as he walks through it and then walks into some bullets from Loomis too. The officer that was with Loomis tries to convince us that Michael is dead, but we all know that ain't the case. As Loomis sends Marion to go get help, the officer was proven wrong by getting his throat slit, which causes the others to dip off. While Michael gets up in high pursuit of Lori and Loomis, they make their way to another room within the hospital trying to hide out, but Michael's already at the door. Right before he comes in, Loomis slides Lori his spare weapon and then gets cold feet when it comes to finishing Michael off, which makes no sense to me, especially if these last two movies revolved around him trying to put Michael in the grave. But it doesn't matter what makes sense to me. Let's see where this takes us. This leaves Lori as the last person left to stop. As he comes closer, she shoots him in both his eyes, blinding him. At the same time, Loomis wakes up and stumbles onto the oxygen tanks, releasing gas into the air, and Lori helps by doing the same. Loomis tells Lori to get out of there before giving a cold-ass one-liner and sacrificing himself to put an end to the darkness.
It is time, Michael.
Alright homies, that was the end of Halloween 2, made in 1981. This was a sequel that honestly didn't need to happen, but I'm happy it did. Going over some of the positives first, the way the filmmakers were able to make the entire movie look like it took place in the same night when it was made 3 years apart was inspiring. The attention to detail was impeccable. Also, the unsettling score during the recap was a nice touch that should have been used throughout the film instead of just this scene. Another positive I had for the film is that the kills were more brutal than before. Even though it's not that much more of a bloody movie, the kills that are in here are merciless. A couple of kills I can think of is, of course, the tub scene where Michael puts the nurse Karen's face into the boiling water, and every time he lifts her up, more and more of her skin is starting to peel off. The other kill I'm thinking of is when another nurse finds the doctor dead in his office. Michael pops up behind her and kills her by piercing the side of her skull. The man didn't even bother with poison or whatever he could find, and honestly, I remember watching this movie as a kid with my mom and being more shocked that he injected air into her head rather than the fact that Michael did this weak ass head tilt right after. Well, Dick Warlock, if you are watching this for some strange reason, it wasn't the head tilt itself, it was the mask. It looked like it was trying to hold in the laugh the whole time. And speaking of laughing, when that Michael Myers lookalike got road killed by the cop, I started to chuckle a little bit. Now homies, I gotta let y'all know that I might laugh hardest when there's a situation that doesn't call for it, and this situation did not call for it at all. And apparently this is supposed to be Ben Tramer, the guy Lori had a crush on in the first film.
Ben Tramer?
The death came out of nowhere and added to the chaos happening within the town. And honestly, Halloween Kills should have took notes from this movie because I actually felt concern for the community and it didn't feel forced. Also, what added to the mayhem was the kid coming in the hospital with razor blades in his mouth. I started thinking to myself, there's a lot going on in this town. Is Michael's influence starting to spread? Nope, it was just built up frustration from the town. And I can't speak for the razor blades and the candy though, but I think that was built up frustration too.
Here, just put it up there real gently. You okay? Let's go. Just walk real slow. Come on.
Anyways, a few of my negatives. For one, to get the elephant out the room is of course the mask. The story behind it is even crazier. A multi-million-dollar movie used the same mask that was under a producer's bed for years. Now, that doesn't make sense to me, especially knowing that people are coming for the killer and not the characters. But other than somebody on that side not giving a damn about the mask, The next negative for me would be the characters. Similar to the last film, nobody besides the main two characters, Lori and Loomis, could capture my attention. And even who I'm guessing to be a potential love interest for Lori feel pancake flat for me. And beyond that, most, if not all, the nurses didn't even feel like real people. All they wanted to do was fuck when there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if the characters were written like actual healthcare workers instead of teenagers, things would have went by a lot smoothly, especially story-wise. Well, I'm sure they'd be getting freaky in the hospital too, but you get my point. Now, because of the characters not only being one-dimensional, but being boring as hell too, the film does feel like it drags on a lot longer than it probably does. And what's even worse is that Loomis and Lori are pretty much sidelined into the third act of the film, which is a big handicap if you ask me. Another big handicap is Nick Castle not being behind the mask due to him working on his directing career. And no, I'm not saying that Dick Warlock did a bad job, but when compared to the original, he did look kind of stiff with his movements like I do when I bust a move on the dance floor. To me, the only times where he really felt like Michael was when he was in the background, either stalking or killing somebody. It's like when somebody looks familiar from a distance, then when you inch up on them, they look completely different than before. Between his stiff movements, the mask, and the characters being boring at best, to me, this film, even with all the positives, couldn't get past being an alright time with alcohol. Now, where would I rank a Night of Survivor with the final survivors, Lori and Loomis? Well, if I'm being honest with myself, my cheap ass wouldn't be at the hospital, so let's say I'd be with Loomis this time. Now, since I'm with Loomis, I'd automatically be safe until the end with his slow ass, but once we get to the end, I think all three of us will be good, simply because there's more hands in the room. Loomis had a spare gun, which most likely would have went to me, and the bullets inside would have went straight to Michael's ass. So honestly, I think we'd be conquerors of the night. So those are my thoughts on Halloween 2, made in 1981. A solid sequel that could have been better, but could have been way worse than what it ended up being, especially since John Carpenter wasn't behind the camera. If you like the first film, I think you enjoy this one, especially if you temper your expectations just a little bit. Well, homies, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for making it this far. Let me know what you thought about Halloween 2 in the comments below, even if you disagree with me. And if you enjoyed this video and have any movies that you want me to cover in the future, put that in the comments below too. Please stab that like and subscribe button to see more reviews like this one, and I appreciate y'all coming to a Fright Delight. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.